just need to exhale.
What up, world? It's your homeboy Mag 357 Guns, and I got a message from a subscriber on one of the comment posts, and it was asking me to do a video about how the black church teaches us blacks to be submissive and kind to our white slave masters. And then he goes on to tell a little bit about himself and all that kind of stuff. So shout out to you, Shawnee Gothic TV. And this is how I choose to respond, talking about that topic. From what I've always been taught, if a black person were to have sex with any other race of person, and they have children, that child is automatically a part of the black family because of the dominant genes that black people have. So one of the things that we need to really address is the fact that white people are dying more than being born. And this is something that is Googleable. You can find this on Google. So it's more of them dying behind car accidents and drug overdoses and things of that nature than are being born to replace them. It's not dying of old age, okay? So this is one of those things where you have to look at what they eat and how they eat it. And you'll notice that they don't eat a lot of stuff that black people eat. And I don't think that it's not necessarily because they can't eat it. It's I think they know something that they are not telling us. But on their side, they have meetings about it, or they have these pillow talks, or these dinner conversations of why they can't and shouldn't be eating certain things that we do eat. Because a lot of times you'll find in the black community, or we're being experimented on, okay? And the fact that the black church, now this is where this all, I'm gonna make this thing where you can have it, and it'll be like, you'll be like, yeah, he broke that down. So at the end of the day, the black church is one of those situations where it's an experiment, okay? And a lot of people do not know that. And this is not an attack on the Bible. If you believe, you believe, and that's fine with me, okay? I'm not bashing nobody. I'm talking about it in a way that you've never heard before, because you do need to hear it. The slave Bible, okay, it was given to slaves and Negroes, okay? We chose to believe in it, and we still believe in it in 2019. We won't let nobody come for it. But we're the only ones who do not know how to read it to this day. We can sit there and read it, but we know we don't understand it. And when you look at the slave Bible and how that came about from 1807, you'll know why it was given to the slaves. Because they understood from the southern states all the way down to the Caribbean, Barbados, Jamaica. I mean, come on. If you were trying to get anywhere near the United States, you knew what the slave Bible is, and that is the King James Version. Okay? For real. They took so much out of that Bible, and they did that because they didn't want the slaves to one day know who they are, know how powerful they are, and then uprise against the slavery that was going on. It was more slaves. It was more slaves than it was slave masters or family members to keep them in line. So they had other slaves that they trusted. Like that's where all this trustee shit came from. Since we want to talk about jail and we want to talk about hierarchy and we want to talk about how the black church plays a role in it. So when they gave that slave Bible, they took out all of those motivational and uprising type scriptures out, and they took most of the Old Testament out. Okay, see, OG stuff was more harder. Okay, more clean cut. It's a whole lot tougher, but things that you purchased were cheaper back then. Now we get all kind of inflation. We paying for names. We're thinking that we're better than the next person because of what we paid for something. That's why we walk around and we say nothing in life is free. But the breath that you have taken from the time that you came out of your daddy's nutsack, it was free. You didn't pay a thing for it. Okay? I'm going to keep going back to that. The black church plays a big role in it because it was told by a bunch of the slave abolitionists, okay, that if you were going to be a missionary, you cannot come around here with the without the King James version, which leaned all the way toward slaves being more kind to their slave masters and being obedient to their slave masters and being submissive to their slave masters and paying back debts to their slave masters. Okay? How do you pay a debt to a slave master when the slave master purchased you, stole you, separated you? Okay? Now, the crazy thing about it is slavery worked. And it's still working to this day. When you get up and you go to that job tomorrow and you clock in and you be a good person and you make somebody else rich and you make just a fraction. Like if you work at a fast food restaurant or anything dealing with food, God bless you. You feel me? Really. Because you're not even making, for 20 burgers, you're not even making 10 cents. And they making how much? $7, $8 for one of those meals? Sometimes 10. You breaking the 10 regardless. How about that? If we're going to talk big bills. And just get it over with. Because that's what the business is. Church is nothing but a business. They found a way to turn it into a business. We can jump over to how T.I. Was at Kanyes church and he almost got flim flam for $20,000. Dude asked 10 people to give $1,000. 20 people give $1,000 at church. Had T.I. and them sitting at the front. That's why he had that mean mug face on. Because it's a business. It's not a relationship between the hierarchy in church. And see, the first thing about it was to keep everybody in line. You're already in slavery. You're given the slave Bible. You're told you can't preach nothing but the slave parts of it to enslaved people. Okay, you see how this thing got layers to it, and then you can't teach them that there's a ceiling here and there's an agenda here. You can't teach them that, especially when it's generations and generations done past, and now we're looking at it and we're wondering why everything in our lives works except for the Bible.
Just need to exhale.